Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kryptonian saying here, bringing you guys another discussion for Black Clover. And today we need to be talking about that Lucifero greatness as well as that Yuno greatness. And we gotta discuss the fact of whether or not we're about to smoke that Yuno back. And I gotta say this right here: while we've been watching all this greatness with Lucifero, how this man has just walked straight up the ramp of all the Black Clover villains, every villain you can think of, he's climbed the ladder and he's retained the title of being the greatest Black Clover villain that we've had so far. The fact is that he's bodied all the captains. He's given them a true sense of despair. Lucifero has bodied Asta in just the most heartbreaking of ways, to the point to where Yuno has to step in. And I really feel like what we're seeing right now is we're getting the opportunity to, number 1 and 2, have Asta and Yuno obviously team up. You have Yuno and he's got his star magic and he's also got the wind magic, but you also have the whole thing of Lucifero might be able to push Yuno into a level of huge despair, especially because there's so many people around Yuno right now that Yuno does have attachments to. And I do feel like Yuno being pushed to that brink right there is going to be something we could see happen. I don't know if we're going to see one of the captains, like say William Bond, just end up dying. I don't know if we see Mimosa just get bodied. I don't think that Mimosa is likely to happen. I don't think that that's going to be the case. William Bonjans is a little bit so-so. However, the fact is that I do feel like what Tabata is really building towards is the opportunity to have Yuno pushed to his limits. And unlike the other characters who we've seen who had a 4-leaf grimoire who got pushed that level of despair, I really feel like what's going to end up happening is as Yuno is fighting against Lucifero and Yuno's just really showing everything that he's capable of, I really feel like we're going to get that moment with Asta as he's being healed up. He's going to find out all that information from Libe about how Asta's mother passed away, likely going to learn more about Yuno and his connections to the Spade Kingdom. And I feel like just before Yuno can get to that point to where he starts to descend into despair, that's when Asta is going to be able to stand up and fight alongside Yuno. And I feel like that right there is going to be that moment where we really pay off everything we saw from chapter 1. So when you go back to what happened in chapter 1, you know, Asta showed up and he saved Yuno, and we have all the flashback information later on in the series where Asta ends up being best buddies with Yuno and kind of taking us back when Yuno's crying and etc. And now in this last chapter, Yuno's talking like, hey, I've repaid my debt to you. You're going to be the one that needs me to save you now. I really feel like this right here is the opportunity for them to start the slate clean and have them on equal footing fighting against this evil that we're seeing. And it really makes sense just given the fact that Asta does look like he's going to be the next Wizard King. Yuno has a path towards being a king when you look at the Spade Kingdom. I really feel like we're getting that opportunity to see the two future kings fighting alongside one another in order to combat Lucifero. And I feel like whatever's going to happen with Yuno being pushed to the brink of despair, Yuno being able to avoid that level of despair could be something that leads toward Yuno getting another power up. And it does kind of make sense that Yuno would get something under this case, and the fact that you could have Asta as well unlock another transformation just based off the fact that he's now gonna know everything that happened with his mother and know the significance of battling against Lucifero. I do feel like these two teaming up together is gonna be enough to push Lucifero back. The only wild card in all of this is that we got a whole Supreme Devil that is sitting on the most comfortable rock ever. The man is just sitting there. He's fully manifested to my knowledge. He has not lifted a finger in order to get into any type of battle situation. He's just watched everything play out. He's even narrated. It really feels like he's just giving off vibes to somebody that is going to be like Gin Ichimaru, who ultimately ended up betraying Aizen. I really feel like we're seeing a similar thing here to where this could be Lucifero's Gin Ichimaru, but this also could be somebody that, because Lucifero isn't at 100% manifestation, he could just be waiting for that opportunity to stab Lucifero in the back and ultimately become that next villain that we're going to be end up seeing. I think that that'll be anticlimactic for Lucifero as a character, but I do feel like there's something else that is going on with this other Supreme Devil, just in the fact that everything that's happened right here he's basically been right on the fence. He hasn't necessarily helped the humans, but he hasn't necessarily helped the devils all that much either. Like when you look at what happened like with Ralph and the Spade Resistance, he said, yo, you need to get the hell out of here. And that was right before Lucifero came. Now, this whole battle's going on right now, and like the man ain't lifted a finger to help. I really feel like this could be something here to where ultimately this second gate devil is just sitting there waiting for the right opportunity. And I feel like Asta and Yuno could be that trigger point that gives him the thing that he needs to finally go from sitting on the fence to making whatever move that it is that he's going to have to try and make. What his end goal ultimately is, that's something we don't know. However, I do feel like Asta and Yuno versus Lucifero is going to be that thing that we're really going to start seeing where this character's at. Now, obviously, before we get to that moment right there, we do have to look at what it is that Lucifero would have to do to Yuno to push him to that brink of despair. And I really feel like the only person that could actually push Yuno to that uncomfortable state of mind to where he might actually lose it is if you kill William Vengeance, or you get to the point where you're about to kill William Vengeance. I feel like there are a lot of death flags there for that character. That could be one way to do it. Obviously at Mimosa, but she can't do that because she's right there and she's helping Asta. Yuno doesn't necessarily have the strongest of connections with all the other captains. I feel like William Vengeance is that one character right there. And when you look at what just happened in this last chapter, or the chapter before this last one, the only two captains that are there on the battlefield that we've not seen so far have been Yami and William Vengeance. Now, Yami, as we all know, is in terrible condition right now, to the point to where I believe it was Vanessa who said that she wasn't sure if Yami was going to make it out of this. And William Vengeance should be in the same position, but given those shonen cliches, the idea that William Vengeance's own vice captain is out there fighting, it would not surprise me if the man tries to do something with that world tree magic in order to assist with his last bits of energy to try and help out Yuno, and ultimately that's what he gets targeted for by Lucifero, and then that ends up being what attempts to trigger Yuno into the madness, and then Asta steps in. There are a few narrative directions that this could take, but I want to know from you guys, what are you guys' thoughts about this? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.